Hey, what's going on? Welcome on in. It is Lunch with Claibs and Joe here on claibsonline.com. Hey, we're brought to you each and every week by Ameren, Illinois, the home loan expert, and our friends here at Mungenast St. Louis Acura, and our home today, Mungenast Alton Toyota, 850 Homer Adams Parkway in Alton, Illinois. They do, don't listen to what people are out there saying. They do have cars out there on the lot. Not many, not as much as they had when we've been doing it, but you know, they have the cars on the lot. They do have some coming in, and they have some absolutely just gorgeous cars that are in the works right now at Toyota.
It's kind of a good news situation. The good news is business is good. The bad news is business is really good. Mm-hmm. I mean, they could sell more cars, and they have some on the way. But everybody's dealing with this. This isn't just a local issue. Just talking to other dealers in different parts of the country, everybody's dealing with it. Everybody wants to buy a car. So just stay in touch with good folks here. They have a large selection, believe it or not, compared to a lot of other dealers in the area. So go online, check it out, see what they have as well.
Yeah, AltonToyota.com and stlouisacura.com, the two websites for that. And do want to make sure to thank Jamie Burkhart once again, as they made a very generous donation to the Alton High School alumni baseball game that we had this past weekend.
You survived, apparently.
I survived, yeah. I didn't play as much as I did last. So last year, we talked, this is the 5th year we've been putting on the game. It's the 4th game that we've played. Obviously, 2020, COVID got us. But early on in the game, I mean, one year I had ACL surgery and wasn't able to play in the game, and then COVID happened, and we had a rain-shortened game another year. So last year, it didn't rain. I was determined to play all 9 innings of the game last year and really kind of wore myself out doing that. This year, we had about 42, 43 guys out there.
To run that many guys out there.
And, so split up between the two teams, a 9-inning game. You kind of put everyone out there, and,
How much pitching did you have?
We had 2 guys on our side that were hitting 80 on the gun. Okay. So the field we played at is where the Alton River Dragons play the Prospect League. So we were playing there. That's where we played our high school games. And then they have up on the board, they have the radar gun up there, and we had 2 pitchers hitting 81 on the gun on our side. We still lost 13-9 in the game, but a lot of
so you didn't have enough pitching.
We did. I mean, it's not enough pitching, and it's hard to figure out how to go about it, because you want to get everybody in.
Yeah.
You want everybody to play. Everyone that was a pitcher back in the day, they want to throw an inning, or they want to get 2 outs or something and do that. And, there was one guy that said he hadn't thrown a ball in 20 years, but one of the best pitchers in school history.
Probably in the doctor's office this morning.
Yeah, one of the best pitchers in school history wanted to get out there, and coaches were saying that his windup looked exactly the same as it did back in '97, and he's out there just throwing. And I think as of 3 days ago, didn't even expect to play in the game. So it's a lot of fun to have it out there. I think we ranged from having alums from 1992 all the way to 2016.
So how many years do you have to be out of school?
No, I mean, I'll go out. I'm an odd year alum, and we're 0-4 in the game now. I'll go out and recruit a 2021 kid to come out and play if it means we could win next year.
I think you got it. So, like, we used to play in this rec tournament up in Canada, in Saskatchewan. You had to be out, and anybody can play, but you had to be out of NHL for at least 3 years, because A, you don't need a guy out there looking like Bobby Orr, and B, they're still in that competitive mode where they really stand out. So you should have like a 3-year wait period.
Yeah. Oh, we had guys. So the youngest on ours was 2015, but we had a few from the 2013 class. Cool. And those guys, this was their first year playing, and they came in like, "Hey, we want to win. What do we got? Like, what are we gonna do with what's the batting order gonna be?" I'm like, "Man, it goes from oldest to youngest. Like that's
you get a bat in your hand about a third inning."
Yeah, that's how it goes here. That's what we're doing. It's like they got the same thing going on over there. They're not trying to win any more than we're trying to win. We're just trying to have fun, and it's fun too as we've been doing this now for the last 5 years, to have some of the guys that had the young kids then as their kids are getting older and watching that. So mine's going to be 9 here in a couple weeks. And when we started the game, I mean, he was 4 years old. And now he got to be a bat boy this year. I got him his own jersey for the game, and he got to run around and, played catch with me to warm
Well,
up
how
and
many
everything.
hits did
so
you get? That's
I went 0 for 2. Popped out and then lined out to the third baseman.
So you made contact.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
No, I
good.
don't miss. I mean, that's
All right.
that hasn't
That's
changed. But I tried to go with one. I tried to go with one and hit opposite field, and third baseman jumped and made a nice play on it. So,
Okay. That's cool.
but yeah, caught 3 innings, played first for an inning, and
Then went sat down.
I mean, I tried. We had so many guys. I tried to play. Every time I tried to go grab a glove and go out there
Somebody
and take
was
the field,
out there.
they were already
There's a
out
sprint
there.
out there.
Yeah. It's like, 3 outs, okay. I grabbed it, like, look out. Okay, maybe I'll go out in the outfield this inning. Nope, all 3 positions taken. Maybe I'll go play third. Nope, already taken. So, I knew which innings I was catching. I wanted to get out there more, but yeah, and it was fun to be out there.
So what you guys should do is this, because obviously you have numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should have a quick, you got enough for 2 teams or 4 teams?
No, probably not 4 teams.
If you went 7 innings?
That'd be I mean, I think, and there were older guys talking.
That way everybody could play.
Yeah, there were older guys
nobody
talking that are in their
out.
40s now, and they've said, like, hey, if it's getting younger, I just want to get one at bat and then hang out. I don't want to play the field and stuff like that. I think you're getting guys.
Just narrow down to 5 or 7 innings. Where everybody can play. Nobody's going to get rubbed out in 5 or 7.
Nobody was upset. I mean, nobody was upset yesterday. It was good. And then what was most important, the venue that hosted us, they've already invited us back last year after they saw how much they made in concessions and beer sales on the.
That's the most important thing.
And if you would have seen our dugout, you would have seen how much they made in beer sales during the game too. So it was it was a fun time had by all. But we so doing that all weekend and having that Friday, Saturday, and then basically just trying to recover yesterday from all that. I didn't watch any Cardinal baseball this weekend. Did not get to see.
No,
I saw they lost. I saw they had a few good 9 innings.
They had some issues in the bullpen on Friday night, and they had issues yesterday in the bullpen. And giving up these runs after the 7th inning, man, it's been devastating to them. I mean, we saw it last week when Oviedo gave up the home run to Tommy Pham. The next thing you know, Cardinals lose by 1.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing yesterday. Verhagen gave up a 3-run bomb. Yepes comes back with a 3-run bomb to cut it to 6-4. They had a time run at the plate, and that's how the game ended on a strikeout. But I mean, they've got to address this. And I know they're trying to wait on Hicks. They're hoping that Flaherty can be a little longer, and maybe you move Palante back in that relief role. But they've got to make some other adjustments because you're carrying a couple guys right now that just aren't getting the job done. So, and this is a huge series. The good thing about it is your bullpen should be reasonably rested. Nobody was overtaxed over the weekend. So that's something that you have to take into account. But I think overall, I like still the direction. But, let's face it. We had some guys who were having some pretty good series against some very bad teams. Now we're going to see a good team in Milwaukee. We saw a good team in Boston, and you have to be able to find that next gear to take you to another level that you're going to need to have if you want to find yourself playing late in the postseason.
Yeah, you mentioned the names that you just threw out there, with Hicks coming back and trying to figure out what to do with that bullpen. You're at the point of the season now, and Mo talked about it. I think it was Katie Wu had the article about Mo talking about where the team is right now compared to where they were last year at this time and needs and wants. And I think you can look at the makeup of this team and you can see which guys are on the roster right now that aren't going to be a factor if you're going to make a run in October. That they're just guys that you have on the roster that you're looking and you're going, okay, if we have a 1-game playoff or if we have a 3-game playoff, that guy's not going to pitch. That guy's not going to get in that bat. But as the season goes on, you know what? Maybe he takes up one of those 26 spots. And once you saw last year, Yepes did not play all 161 games. I think it was last year. Then they were rained out one, I thought, last year. And then all of a sudden he's there on the run. They said, okay, you know what? Now he can be a factor on this team. And we're going to put him on the roster for this 1-game
wild
card.
Him. They liked him because of what he did in the minors.
Yeah.
And he really wasn't as good in spring training. I mean, he struggled defensively. He was getting himself out of the plate a little bit more. And I talked to him the other day about, his approach hitting wise. And I said, you trying to pick up the spin? He said, I don't look for spin. I'll just look at it coming out of his hand, and I'll figure the rest of it out. And what he's able to do when they try and bust him inside, how he can just, put the handle, if not the small part of the bat on the ball and go the other way compared to trying to pull that pitch. But if they bring it in just a little, they take it out just a little bit more, he can turn on it. I really like his bat control in the batter spots.
Yeah. And I was, Rammer and I talked about it last week, wondering what the future of Yepes on the big league club was going to be this year with Dickerson close to coming back. And now there's some question marks as to Dickerson's health, as he didn't play all weekend down in Memphis after hitting a home run. And then now with Tyler O'Neill's hamstring, he had to leave the game yesterday due to a hamstring. What have you heard today as far as what the club's looking to do?
Nothing's been announced yet. I know we'll have an announcement before the game, one way or the other. But the thing is, who was the odd man out is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It could be Sosa. Because Donovan can play short.
Yeah.
If you need a backup guy, you can slide him over. Offensively, he hasn't been as productive as he needs to be. And it's hard to come off the bench and give quality at bats all the time when you don't play on a regular basis. But that could be a move. You might bring up Burleson. I don't know if Newbar, because he's not doing very much in the minors either. I don't know if that's the answer. I mean, he wasn't very good in the spring. He wasn't very good when he was here, and he hasn't been very good in the minors. That doesn't mean he can't catch fire, because when they called him up the last time, he hit 3 home runs the day before. And again, I think that it's hard for young guys to try and stay sharp when you're not getting those 4 at-bats a day. And there's no guarantee that these guys will. So maybe you take a look at Burleson, but then again, I don't know if he's on the 40. I have to look that up. If he's on the
Burleson's
40,
not.
So then that means somebody's got to go.
Yeah.
And so who would that be?
Right.
So I think you got to take a look at that. Is it a pitcher? Is it a guy that you realize he can't help you? So they've got some challenges, and I'm sure they've discussed it ad nauseum since yesterday.
Where are they right now? Because what was the move they made last week when they designated Ali Sanchez for assignment? What was that to bring up? That was to bring up Flaherty. Because there is the possibility of moving Steven Matz to the 60 day because if he's not going to be ready by the All-Star break, that's 60 days. So I think maybe you're just waiting for a possible need to make that move before you do it. So that's an option out there as well. And, we're getting close here, 10 days away from being in the month of July, time to start looking at trade partners. And there's a lot of them out there in baseball when you look at how bad some of these teams are.
Yeah, I think when you look at that, you look at each division, we probably won't do business in our own division.
Mm-mm.
So then you say, what does Colorado have? What does Baltimore have? What are teams at the bottom feeders? What do they have? What's Oakland have? I know Montas is a guy everybody covets, but Oakland's going to want a lot for him because you'd have control after this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really comes down to how interested are you in a guy. A, if you got a guy with control, he's going to cost you more.
Yeah.
B, if you want to rent a guy, you have to make sure that this is the right rental. You won't have to give up a lot, but you're going to have to, because the Cardinals minor league operation has shown as individuals. Now the teams haven't done as well, but there's some individuals that people start to pay closer attention to that you have to make a decision: can we keep this guy now, or should we keep him? Because you have free agency coming up with a guy like O'Neill down the road, and Bader's down the road. So you got some outfield options there that you need to take a look at. So they got a lot of things to think about right now.
Yeah, and they're pretty. I mean, they've shown. I mean, we've seen with the amount of guys that they've had to call up from Memphis, and I think fans. Yeah. I think fans this year more than any others are following those minor league teams and following some of the names that are down in Memphis. Yep. And I think you're seeing that. The Cardinals are pretty deep when they have guys that you don't have to worry about them having to trade Gorman or Livatore to get back a big name. That there's other names out there that maybe you're not as invested in, maybe you're not as tied down to long term.
No, I agree. I think when you look at that situation, you got to just make sure that you got enough assets that you're not going to say, why do we get rid of this guy?
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, if I can get a frontline pitcher a legit guy, I'm not talking about, a guy that can win 14 games. I'm talking about somebody else who can really give you some innings and ground ball pitcher, something like that. I got a couple guys that would surprise people that I wouldn't mind. I'd throw in a deal.
Yeah. Cardinals are start a 4-game series tonight in Milwaukee, and then back home next weekend. The Cubs in town for the first time this season.
You got to wonder when their fire sale's going to start.
Who do they have?
Contreras.
But I thought the whole reason last year of trading everybody but Contreras was to keep Contreras there long term and make him the face of the franchise.
They made no effort to. Hey, listen, when you start making catchers the face of your team, I'm not sure if that's the best answer. And I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I'm not sure if that's a guy I'm going to throw that kind of money in. I'm just kind of looking at some other teams that might be looking to do business. Detroit, Kansas City.
Detroit doesn't have any real veterans though that you're trading for. I mean, they're just so young, and then they have Cabrera. I mean, they've called up all their top prospects this year.
Partners. You have Baltimore, Kansas City.
Seattle's one. Seattle is, that's a disappointing season. That's such a disappointing. They went out and they thought they were going to break their string of not making the postseason this year, and they made the big move with the Reds. They went out and they got the who was the former guy from the Pirates that was then Frazier. They went and they got Frazier. You thought they had some pitching there too. And then to be 10 games under 500 right now, that's not good.
Other teams, Miami, anybody intrigue you on that team?
I mean, not guys that they're going to get rid of.
Washington, Nationals they're not very good. Arizona, Bumgarner.
That's one, but
I'm gonna tell you something. I don't think Bumgarner is anywhere close to what he used to be.
No, but does Bumgarner still want to play?
He don't want to be in Arizona,
where he chose to go, but he doesn't want to be there.
They don't have enough, and he wants out.
But
to be on a good team,
and that's the thing is bringing him. Is he one of those guys that's not having the greatest season one year that you bring over and then gets rejuvenated? Do you see him as a guy like that?
I think in the environment, yes. It's hard to be on Devil's Island and shit with a happy face every day.
Yeah. And he's got a relationship with Wainwright, so something like that could help him too.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be a guy I'd kick the tires on. But then if you're Arizona, you're saying, wait a minute, we already gave away Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
We got a catcher out of it who's average. We got a pitcher who can't stay healthy. And the other guy, Gallen, they move.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. So, you got some. You might have to get creative here, and maybe you go out and get a guy that's got legitimate control.
Mm-hmm.
That you just say, let's go all in on this guy. We scouted him enough. We think he can help us.
Yeah.
So what is it going to be for you? Is it pitching, or are you looking for another bat?
I'm fine with their offense right now. Okay. With what the moves they've made and the guys they've called up, I'm fine with the offense. Yeah, it lets you down a couple times a week, maybe.
Well, who doesn't though? I mean,
right.
That's the way the game works.
It's they're not going to go out there and score 8 a game. But I think the way, and that's the thing with the way O'Neill was hitting after coming out off the injured list, gave real promise to having a nice 3 in the order in a row of Arenado, Goldschmidt, and O'Neill. I mean, that could have been really scary. But
yeah,
we'll see now where.
But I mean, your order gets lengthened even more because Gorman and Donovan have really given you length. I mean, it's as long as it's been to me.
Yeah.
I mean, now you got a catching issue you got to figure out because you're not getting anything out of that position.
But and that's the thing. They're not going to go and trade for somebody and replace Yachty.
No, what I'm saying is you got to have somebody else be a little bit better in order to cover that person because that's almost an automatic out right now.
But, it took Yachty getting injured several years ago, a guy that you were hanging out with a few weeks ago, AJ Przinsky. Remember they went out and they made the move to go get him. Is there a veteran out there that that could be called upon?
Yeah, but I think if you do that, I don't think there is. But I think the problem is what message are you sending to two guys who
exactly
so I don't know this
is where it helps having the DH this year because you're not You can be bad offensively in one position. As long as the defense is good there, you can get by with that as long as the other 8 around them are hitting.
So it's going to be fun to watch. Again, as you mentioned, we're not to July yet, but we're getting closer. But I really look at this team really starting to take a different shape.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? As I said earlier, the opposition is going to make you do some things different.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, you can't play Pittsburgh and Cincinnati every week. So, you get the Cubs. Cubs play you tough.
Mm-hmm.
They play you tough. Don't look at their record. Then when you move around, you say, all right, what other giveaways do we have on the schedule? You haven't played Arizona, Colorado yet. You're going to play them.
They played Arizona.
Yeah,
already.
well,
yeah.
You got to go to Baltimore. They should roll over by now. So you got some teams that you can really make some hay against, but you haven't played the Dodgers.
Are they done with Kansas City?
Yes.
Okay.
You haven't played the Dodgers. You haven't played the Padres out there. You're done with San Francisco. You got the Yankees. You got Philadelphia, which has had a resurgence. You haven't played the Braves yet. So you got some teams that can really make your second portion of the season interesting, to say the least.
And they could, you know what? You take 3 out of 4 up in Milwaukee this week and get yourself a nice 2-game lead again and give yourself a little breathing room.
Or if you split, I'll take the split.
What's the pitching lineup this week?
We're putting our best against their best.
Is Michaelis throwing this week?
Michaelis is throwing tonight. And
he's throwing tonight?
Yeah.
I really thought they'd give him a full week.
That's what I told Ollie. I said, I'd give this guy 7 days off. So, you know what, though? And you make a good point about you better watch this guy. Because if he spins out of control, but here's the thing. Milwaukee doesn't swing the bat well. Everybody's acknowledged Yelich is a shell of himself. They let Lorenzo Cain go. Adames has been solid, but, they don't have the punch that you say, all right, we better be careful because these guys can swing the bat. Although in their ballpark, rumor has it that there's some that feel like somebody's getting ahead as far as tipping pitches and picking up signs.
We've heard about it, little red light in the scoreboard.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that are going on, but even with that said, they haven't been as productive as you would expect them to be.
No, that Yelich, that for Cardinal fans that were upset that they didn't get Yelich a few years ago, that's one of those you look at now and you go, okay.
No, you know what? I'd still take Yelich over Ozuna.
Right. Yeah. But they, you know what, the Cardinals would have too. Yeah. They want, that's what they wanted at the time, and the Marlins weren't willing to part with it. So.
And you know why.
Hey, this is Lunch with Claibs and Joe. We are live from Mungenast Alton Toyota here at 850 Homer Adams Parkway. We will take a short break. Back after this.
My name is Jeremy Seabury. I am one of the owners of Pulpit K9.
Marcus Galmore, co-owner of Pulpit K9.
What makes us different from other dog companies is there is no breed left behind. We stand by that 120%. We specialize in aggressive behavior modification. We don't turn away. We bring them in for a free evaluation to see if we can help the dog.
Here at Pulpit K9, we focus on the owners, educating the owners.
How do I get this dog to give me the behaviors that I'm asking for without the treats? So that's when me and Marcus come in. We train the dog, so when you take the dog home, you don't need the treats. The dog is doing it because you're asking it to.
After each training package, we go through a series of lessons. We keep going until the owner gets it.
We make sure that they go over the beatings with their dog, and that dog is listening before they leave here, but also we follow up when they get home. Is your pup listening to you here? If it's not, we one phone call away, we'll make a trip. We got the Pulpit Mobile, where we go out to their homes and make sure their dog is okay.
Back here at Lunch with Claibs and Joe from Mungenast Alton Toyota here at 850 Homer Adams Parkway in Alton, Illinois. Also powered by Ameren, Illinois, and also the home loan experts who will be going out there. We'll go hang out with the Gillespies tomorrow.
Hang out with the Gillespies. We got some exciting news to pass on to everybody about what they're doing, and we just suggest you just tune in and check it out, and we'll be putting those up here fairly soon. Some nice incentives to get involved with the Gillespies. who are part of the home loan experts. So we'll be getting into that a great deal over the next few days.
Hey, speaking of exciting things coming, well, I guess it already happened. Yesterday was the debut on the History Channel, the Jackie Robinson documentary that you are a part of, Claibs.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, a lot of history, a lot of information, and tip of the cap to Andre Gaines, who was the director. Man, they found some footage that I hadn't seen in years, and some of it I'd never seen before. Well put together, great, and it really kind of centered around Jackie Robinson and his plight, but also that next generation that featured 3 Cardinals: Bill White, Bob Gibson, Kurt Flood, and they all had different stories. And if you're a Cardinal fan, you definitely want to check it out because there's a lot of rich Cardinal history. The unfortunate thing is 2 of the 3 people they focused on are no longer with us, and Bob and Kurt, but Bill White's still alive, and it was fun. Tim McCarr was in it. Jack Flaherty makes an appearance. Let's see who else. CC Sabathia, Mookie Betts. A lot of people that were involved. And I'm happy to be part of it. It was a lot of fun.
CC's doing a whole lot with podcasts and media.
Yeah.
That's one we should reach out to him about with the Joe West podcast, 5460,
yeah.
the Joe West podcast with Joe Buck. This week is our guest.
It's airing this week.
Yeah, that's airing this week. It's out right now. If you go to Spotify and you search for 5460, the Joe West podcast, and I will tell you, sitting backstage there, listening to that. You hear Joe Buck do a lot of stuff. I know he's got his own podcast, and he's told a lot of stories over the years. The stories he told here were umpire-centric. He was talking about the way his dad taught him how to deal with umpires, or the way that the media views announcers and umpires. And he and Joe West have a lot in common when it comes to being hated.
He was a joke. You know, there's one story that we didn't tell that Jack was involved in. Mike tells the story really well. They're going to the ballpark. And so Jack looks in the rearview mirror, and the umpires were with him. And they had this one umpire, John McSherry, who was a beast of a man. And so when they pull up to the security gate, Jack says, hey, this car has been following us. He said, they're going to tell you they're umpires. But you can look at the guy in the front seat. Nobody could be that big and be an umpire. Security guard says, okay, thanks a lot. Jack pulls in, puts it in park, looks through the rearview mirror, and the security guard's talking to McSherry. McSherry busts out of the car, is ready to strangle this guy. Jack has to get out and save the guy's life. He was a really good practical joker when it came to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was a fun chat. You can listen to it now. Go wherever you find your podcasts and listen to 5460, the Joe West podcast, and then his History Channel is where your show with
I think the MLB Network's going to air it also.
Yeah,
but it was cool.
MLB was promoted. So I don't know if it's my age, maybe the fact that I pretty much grew up a Cardinal fan since I was 12. Bill White seems to be one of those guys that I feel is underappreciated in Cardinal. So
right.
Okay, so I'm not off base
You're
here
right.
with saying that it's just somebody. I haven't done my research. It's
career 293 hitter, 4 Gold Gloves. Was part of an infield where they had all Cardinals on the All-Star game one year. Incredible leader, tough as barbed wire. Well, he had to be tough. He's Bob Gibson's roommate for a while, but. Just a dynamic person, just an incredible leader. And he dealt with a lot of stuff, man. We had a manager here in St. Louis named Solly Hemus, who, as Bob said, he didn't like me because of what I looked like. So he was trying to convince Bob to go play basketball. He told Bill White, he put him in the outfield. So if you ever meet Bill, he's got this scar over his eye where he ran into a wall. He had no business in the outfield. And he tried to bury Kurt Flood. So Hemus had gone too far, and they fired him, and they brought in Johnny Keane. Johnny Keane said, you're my center fielder. You're coming to start the rotation, and you're going to go to first base. And that's when they took off. And here's one of the things about Johnny Keane. They won in 64, and, the Cardinals made this late season charge. They were going to fire him. They were interviewing Leo DeRocher to be the manager. So Keane gets word of it. As soon as the Cardinals win World Series, everybody, hey, Johnny, he's our guy. He said, I quit. went managed New York Yankees the next year. Wonderful man. he came from the seminary. He was studying to be a priest and decided to get into baseball. Too nice of a guy to manage in New York is really what it came down to.
Yeah, you need those. You need those types that can Billy Martin types that can deal with the media out there.
You know what though? Have you been watching these golfers be interviewed by the British press, like Phil Mickelson and some of these other guys?
No, but if you're you're talking Phil Mickelson doing an interview. I mean, he's so tight about anybody that's asking him questions.
I've watched other American athletes be interviewed by the British press, and we think that we're tough on not necessarily St. Louis. I think St. Louis is pretty objective. Some people say we're soft. I don't think there's a question that doesn't get asked that needs to be asked, and especially baseball. Rick Hummel can ask anything. Derek Gould will ask it. Katie Woo has stepped in and done an admirable job in getting the facts. But I think there's a way you ask a question to get a professional and legitimate answer, and they do that instead of, "Hey, you're a bum. Why'd you do this?" You know, nobody. How you gonna get a good answer? Anyway, I'm watching these British media types interview some people. I'm trying to think of who it was recently, and I'm like, "There's no way that would fly in the U.S. the way these guys talk," and they keep pushing the envelope. And I've seen some golfers, and I use Phil as an example. There were some others. I'm like, you know what, man? That question might get a pitching wedge wrapped around your head. I mean, it's just they're very caustic, very aggressive, and I think in some cases unprofessional. But then they use the line, "Well, I'm just doing my job." Well, your job doesn't mean you should be an asshole.
You know, we didn't watch much Cardinal baseball this weekend. How much of the U.S. Open did you watch?
I watched a little bit of it. Interesting course. It's allegedly one of the toughest courses in the country for the right reasons. It was good to see a good mix of young players that were competing. And, you know, here's why the Live tournament has interest in me, because I think we talked about it. It's a 54-hole tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who watches these events on Thursday, but they will watch it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think you get better golf. But on the flip side, to put 4 rounds together to be good is something that separates these guys from the rest of the world. And we haven't heard the last of the Live thing. So now I get a PGA credit. They kind of backdoored them and said, well, if you don't have enough world ranking points, you can't be in the tournament. You can't do this. So now Norman is trying to, and I think Norman's group is right. Wait a minute. They're playing in this world, right? So why aren't they eligible to participate other than they're in a different league?
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to have to, this thing's going to court. I mean, you can see it. It's got the fingerprints all over it. Question is, what court? I guess, you know, because if you have events in this country too, it'd be obviously to be here, but they're going to go to court over who's eligible to play. And don't think they haven't thought this out. But it was a good tournament this weekend. That Zalatoris, man, I have a friend of mine who knows him really well, and I'm pulling for the guy. He just comes up just a hair short, but does that make him a better golfer down the road, or does that make him the next Sergio Garcia?
I was going to say, it goes both ways with that, and you got to wait a few tournaments to figure it out, a few big events to figure it out.
Was that guy, you know, I mean, you get close, and, you know, he's shaking hands with the winner all the time, and so that's something I'm anxious to see with him. He's young, but as we've learned, you can be young, and this thing can be over like that. Speaking of young, I think I've kind of had enough of her already. Although she's got an injury, at least she says she has an Achilles injury. Naomi Osaka is not participating in Wimbledon. I know she made $55 million. I get that. But every week, it's some reason why either she gets knocked off early. I understand her mental issues from last year. Looks like she's always out of shape, too. But now she's got an Achilles that seems to be still acting up, so hence she won't participate in
The future of electric vehicles is beginning to grow across the Midwest, but there's a lot of work to be done before most people will feel comfortable switching from gas to EV. Ameren, Illinois President and Chairman Richard Mart gives us some insight into how they're preparing by adding more electric vehicle charging stations.
Our vision is to basically have charging stations every 60 miles or so, from Cook County all the way to the tip of the state down to the Kentucky area, and then across the state, east and west, going toward Kansas and Iowa to the west, and going toward Indiana to the east. And so we feel that within the next few years we'll probably add, we're hoping to add 60 to 70 a year over the next 5 years to really complete that infrastructure for the entire Midwest. In fact, the Midwest now has all the utilities in the Midwest are joining together to coordinate that. So, which is the first time it's ever happened that you've had Wisconsin say, okay, we're going to build our charging stations here, and Illinois say, okay, well, we can tap on here, and Missouri, this makes sense for us, so we can expand that north, south, east, and west by coordinating with the other utilities.
Wrapping up the show here today at Mungenast Alton Toyota. It's lunch with Claibs and Joe here on claibsonline.com. Also sponsored by Ameren, Illinois, and the home loan expert. Claibs, we saw the Warriors win another title last night. That's 4 now for Steph Curry. Ties him with LeBron. Had them all in the same team. Stayed on the same team. Yeah. And now the discussion, I guess, becomes where does Steph rank all time with what he's was able to do?
He's up there. I mean, he's in the conversation. You made an interesting observation about comparing LeBron, who did it with multiple teams, which also states his greatness, where he can take his act somewhere, and no matter who he's on the team with, they had a chance to win.
I mean, the first one he won in Cleveland some of the teams he took to the finals in Cleveland,
that's my point.
You could grab people out of the stands at Busch and put together a better team than what
it could never be heard from again. You're right. But with that said, I think he's had the most impact on the game in the last 35 years.
LeBron?
Steph Curry.
Okay,
because LeBron, is this powerful dunker, and he made himself a complete player. Michael was a guy who lifted higher than everybody else. Kobe was a very dynamic player. But Steph Curry gives people who have a hoop in their backyard a chance and feeling like if I work on my fundamentals and I learn how to shoot the ball, learn how to make passes and dribble, I got a chance to be a good player.
He is 6'4". I mean, he's 6'3", 6.
But still in all.
Okay, it's not Muggsy Bogues.
There's more 6'3", 6'4" guys walking around than there are 6'8", 6'9".
Correct.
All right.
And he's also, he has lifted. He has added a bunch of weight since his time at Davidson. He has, but LeBron's 270. Yeah.
But even with that said, I just think his impact on the game fundamentally, the way he carries himself. There's no hoopla with him. There's no drama. And he does as much behind the scenes as anybody. I really feel like his place in the history of the game is set for life. 4 championships, a couple of MVPs as well. I don't think there's anything left that he hasn't done. So I tip my cap to him. He's the best player I've seen in his era.
Yeah, and you know what? The last time we saw Steph on that stage, he had Durant with him. Yeah. And Durant's gone. Durant thought he could do better elsewhere.
And the other thing is they've been able to keep the band together for the most part, and it's proven to be successful. Now, I think the big challenge for them, and this is always, I think, the toughest job for a general manager. All right, I need to move one of these guys before he gets old in front of me or his skills get diminished. So who is that player? Who is the guy you don't bring back? Who is the guy you reinvest in? I think Bob Myers got some tough decisions to make. Everybody wants to come back. You can't have everybody back and expect to be the same team. They may lose Loney. I know he's been coveted by a number of teams, but you're going to get Weissman back next year. You got some guys that come off your bench this year that really did a nice job, and Jordan Poole's one of them. Avinga is going to be a guy that they're going to have to deal with down the road. So they've got some components. Are you ready to make that transition? Because Iguodala's not coming back. Wiggins wants, Wiggins making $30 million. Good player. Had a couple good runs, but $30 million is $30 million.
Yeah. And how, and that's the case. He moved out of Minnesota and found a system that worked for him. Does he want to stay in that system? And that we see that so often in sports where a guy struggles one place, goes to another place, makes it big, and then thinks, I can take that to the next place. Nope, it was that one being in that one system is what made it there. But you do have, you wonder. The two questions I think are Clay's legs going to hold up? When you think about moving him or what you want to do with him.
Those guys make too much money to be moved. You're stuck with them.
What's his contract deal? What's his?
I think he's got 2 more years. He just re-signed.
Yeah, and then you're not getting offense from Draymond Green.
Yeah, but
can you find somebody that can match everything else that he brings outside of scoring points?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe there's a guy, but he knows the system and knows what's required of him and accepts that role. And I think that's something you have to take into account. Guys on this team accept their role.
Yeah,
that's important.
So Stanley Cup, Colorado just blew them out.
That's all right. Yeah, the series doesn't start until you win and the other guys build it. So we'll see. I still like Tampa to win.
I don't want to see Kroenke get another.
Well, I think that's
another
one of the
title.
reasons why I feel the same way. But I still think Tampa is the better hockey team. Hey, Colorado's got some very good individual players, McKinnon and Langeskar and Cale McCarr, outstanding. But here's the thing that I give them credit for. They're getting some good play out of their third and fourth lines, which is where we thought here in St. Louis that the Blues would be able to make the difference. Not mistaken, the third line or fourth line scored the game winner to send the Blues home.
Yeah.
So their third and fourth lines have played well. I still think Tampa's got a little left. And, but the challenges they run into, man, they played in the last series for the last 3 years, and your body, maybe you don't recover as quick. They got to get a little bit more out of their third line. Their goaltender's got to be a little bit better, and he is a great goaltender. So I still like them to win.
All right, I got to jump. I got to head up to Edwardsville. I'm going to do cryo real quick. It's get the body right.
No, it's pretty cold, right?
It's negative 100 something, 200, 180 degrees. I do. I did it Friday. I'm doing it today. So
you ought to video that. Give people an idea of what that's.
I have video of it on my Instagram. I have done it before. Yeah.
By the way, I can't get in my Instagram account. Can you show me how to do
that's a question that your boss at Cardinal Radio is going to have to help you out with. That's I believe he has. I believe he has those passwords for you on. I got them somewhere, but I think he might have those to help you out. But yeah, I got video of it. I might have him take video of it today just because it's just get everything right. I haven't worked out yet since I played in the game on Saturday. My next race isn't until end of August in Utah. So
have you ever been to Utah?
Have never been to Utah. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, going with my dad out there.
Trophy fixed too.
That's not that is from Little League. That is just what we display the MVP ball on. Yeah, so we have an MVP ball for the alumni game that's displayed on that, and the guy took it home and forgot to give that trophy part back, so he had to bring it up to me here. So yeah, that was what that was for. Good. So all right, hey, we thank the folks here at Mungenast Alton Toyota.
5460. Check it out.
And then you doing pregame and pregame stuff for the Cardinals this week? Or you'll completely off the broadcast?
Yeah, I'm off.
All right. Well, you enjoy your week off.
Well, I'll be doing something with somebody.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to you for the Joe West podcast this week. Hey, thank you to Mungenast Alton Toyota. Thank you to Ameren, Illinois, and the home loan expert for having us out here at Mungenast Alton Toyota, 850 Homer Adams Parkway. For Mike Claiborne, I'm Joe Roderick. This has been Lunch with Claibs and Joe here at ClaibsOnline.com.
St. Louis Acura has almost 200 pre-owned vehicles in stock with inventory arriving daily and can offer the best trade-in value. While others raise their prices and fees, we choose to earn your repeat and referral business by not taking advantage of the current market situation. We invest in our team, becoming one of St. Louis's top places to work and fastest growing companies. St. Louis Acura remains committed to becoming better than ever for you. Located at Manchester and Mason Roads.